This is Managing Mayhem.
Brought to you by two lawyers and a layman.
Because good intentions are not a legal defense.
Wait, I'm sorry, they're not? Okay, well, let's get going then. Hello and welcome to Managing Mayhem with Patty, Jeff, and Jack. It's another day in paradise where we're talking about homophily today in the workplace. Whether it's good, it's bad, or it's even legal to participate in. But the really crazy thing is that we have a guest today to discuss this topic. Yeah.
Round of applause.
Thank you.
Who is it?
Wait, unmask yourself. Who
Yes.
are you?
Welcome to Rob Ball, Associate General Counsel of PCA with locations throughout the United States and over 15,000 employees. Rob, thanks for being here.
Well, I'm really happy to be here with people that I barely know. So,
Hello, Dad.
Stranger
what room
danger.
are you?
A couple more things about Rob I have to say is that he actually founded the employment law section of the
All
Idaho
right.
Bar. He's been a lawyer for over 35 years and he still looks like he's 24.
yeah, that's
And
a
he's
lot.
licensed in Idaho and California.
I didn't know you founded anything.
Yes, I did. I founded the that section, and I founded it along with Lewis and Clark. So it's been around a while.
What a great thing to be able to say with your life, just that you founded something.
You're a founder.
Once I'm a founder of anything, I don't need to do anything.
No, you're done.
It's a life goal.
So we'll see you later.
Truly.
well, thanks for being here. No.
Talk to you later. Rob Ball also has a lot of other credentials. He is a cyclist, a fly fisherman, and an extreme guitarist. A guitarist in
He's also the owner of a very successful hay company that we'll have a separate episode on his business strategies as
Right.
the Hay Business
You
Incorporated.
can follow his Instagram. Hey there.
That would be a
Hey,
great
where?
idea.
Yeah.
Hey, where? We don't grow it. It's
3
mostly
bales
alfalfa.
a year.
What are we
It's
talking
good
about
when
today?
the neighbor. We're talking about homophily.
Homophily. We're talking about
Hey-
homophily.
Homophily.
Go. Sorry.
What is homophily? What's homophily?
I thought it was
Did
a
anyone
game
tell
that we
me?
play that I was going to beat my family in like Monopoly, but
Right,
apparently not.
right.
Yeah.
No, you
No.
lose at homophily.
Can't. So back on track. All right. All right. So in simple terms, homophily is how people naturally seek out or gravitate to people like themselves. It's the old birds of a feather tend to flock together.
Yeah. So
I want more people like me. I want to be around people like who look like me.
a concrete example might be like my grandparents both immigrated from Yugoslavia, and when they came at very different times, but they met at a Croatian center. So it was a place for them to go to see and meet like-minded people.
Right, people from a similar background.
Right. It's that psychological comfort that we naturally want. It's the same as when you walked into the lunchroom when you're in like the 8th grade and you're like, what table do I sit at?
Right.
And you have that panic.
Yeah, who else plays video games nonstop?
Right. Who do I know? Oh,
You know,
God.
a lot of people describe it as really a bonding to make them feel comfortable. And,
Okay.
when we see it a lot on social media, it's where you search out and find like-minded people who get us, so to speak, or
Right.
it builds some type of comfort, cohesive team or group. Like you belong in the world. You have people
Right.
that have similarities to you. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, it
No.
just makes
No.
people feel more comfortable.
Right.
Yeah, you're just looking for things to connect on with people, and if you have shared interests, then great. You do it together.
Place to go.
Right.
It's how you build. A lot of people build community, and there's whatever. Okay, just blah blah blah. And so you build a community. That's great. So end of the show. But if you get too wrapped up in it and building a bubble and really getting only information or having friendships with people who are exactly like you, how can that become really a negative thing?
Right. It's like you're in an echo chamber of just getting information. It's like when the elections happen and people are shocked that their candidate didn't
Right.
win because on social media everyone they follow and like is
Right.
posting like, this person's gonna win, this other
Right.
person is the worst, and
Everyone I know voted for so and so.
right, it's like,
well,
well, because you all like the same, you have
You
the
know
same
5
views.
people.
The same people.
Yeah. you
Well,
all
I
listen
think
to the
by
same media.
you're basically just in that setting, you're cutting yourself off from others who have different thoughts, different opinions, and you're really limiting your ability to learn.
Right.
right, or even have your own opinion challenged.
Right.
Right. It's the whole
Exactly.
phrase: if everyone's thinking alike, then no one's really thinking. So
Right.
Ooh, that's a good one, Jeff. I mean,
I
Yeah,
think
no one's
General
disagreeing.
Patton said that. I don't think that's not a Jeff Ball term. I will not claim. But
General Patton said that.
yeah.
Is he a real person?
Oh
or
my
is that just a
gosh, Jeff.
movie?
George,
I also,
you're thinking about George
Read a
C. Scott.
book.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of George Clooney.
No, I also, I think that with homophily, even though it can make you feel comfortable in some settings, I do think if you only live in the world of homophily, then you're actually not getting any other perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
And you really, to me, I love that T-shirt I saw once that said enlightenment. What was the definition? Is considering other people's perspectives and appreciating them without necessarily adopting them or accepting
Right.
them, but actually taking the time to
That was
learn.
on a T-shirt.
It was shorter than that. But it was.
Maybe a nightshirt. Longer.
Nightgown. Yeah, homophily just sounds like I'm going to be in a hellscape of my own bad ideas.
But but I think
Okay.
that exchange of ideas is what even our
Right.
society is really built on. You gotta get out there
Absolutely.
and exchange them. So
Yeah,
Right.
really hear differences and accept them, and change your perspective.
Right.
Okay, so what challenges do you guys see as working girls in the workplace? How does it come into play in the workplace?
So what we've been talking about up to this point has been this bonding homophily, which Patty alluded to. And that can, we're not talking about, as you get into the workplace, we're not talking about discrimination or anything like that. We're looking at how we can avoid just creating these silos of people that just are like us in the workplace. We don't want that. We want to diversify our employment group.
Okay.
Why, though, people ask me. People say, well, I don't want to. It's more comfortable. So, Rob,
Right.
why do you think we want to do that? Because, people do. Some people suggest I'm more comfortable with myself.
Right.
I'm an army of one. But I think it's what we were talking about a few minutes ago, especially in the workplace. What you want to be able to do is draw on different ideas. That's where
Right.
you want to be like our society as it becomes more diverse, to be able to look and listen to other points of view. And I think that if you can do that and you can assimilate those into your whatever your your product line is, or whatever you're doing as a company, you're going to be better off.
Okay, so we're not talking about discrimination or protected class with
No,
this
but-
homophily.
But I will say this, homophily at its most extreme can result in discrimination in the workplace
Yes.
if you're only
That's what it
willing
sounds
to-
like.
Yeah, but for today's discussion, we're talking about really things that are more like, hey, have you worked as long as me? Do you like hunting?
Did y'all
Are
go
you
to the
from-
same college
Yeah,
I went to?
Right.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
You from Idaho.
Right.
Things that are going to make you comfortable but could exclude you from having a more diverse workforce. And
Dad,
actually,
I also like.
you know.
I like what you said about you want your you want your company to reflect society, the diversity of society. I think
Right.
it's a really good thing just to have as a goal or a mission to say, do we reflect our communities?
Right.
Well, and once you
I'm
do,
running for president.
Well, you also want it to reflect your customer base.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
I
If
think
you
that's,
don't, they
right,
can't
yeah.
relate to you.
That's
Right,
That's
right.
the point. I think you're trying to, as a business, your goal is to be successful and to bring in more customers or whatever. And so
Right.
that's what you need to be able to relate to those folks.
Okay, so essentially this birds of a feather, or like kind of a sameness syndrome, can make a bland workforce and make people feel ultimately excluded, right? Is kind of what
Yes.
we're
Right.
saying.
I would
Right.
think
Okay.
that.
So what's an area where you see homophily the most in the workplace, and then how do we fix that?
Well,
Because obviously it just doesn't really, it shouldn't play there, it sounds like.
Right. I think the most obvious place is in your recruiting and hiring. So, for instance, if I'm looking for, and our company will hire a lot of engineers, right? So I want to look at the department. What's my department look like from an engineering standpoint? Where are people coming from? What schools, gender, all that sort of thing. And I look hard at that, and I want to make sure that when I'm looking at that job that I'm going to get somebody that's the best for the job and not get sucked into somebody that went to my school or somebody that came from my community.
Right.
So it's really looking at it that way, I think, is a much more beneficial approach towards avoiding homophily and also making sure that you're getting the right people. I think the other thing you have to think about, too, is that a lot of companies will have sort of these referral programs.
Okay.
And that can be good in the sense that, somebody knows somebody, right? But it
Right,
can
they
be
can vouch for them.
right. But on
least.
the flip side of that is, I know a guy. The guy is probably just like me. Has the same experience, maybe sold the same product, and all of those sorts of things, which not necessarily be what you want in that position.
And then you could be looking at, like, I know this guy. We played lacrosse together. He's a really good forward. He'd be a great, I don't know.
Engineer.
Great. He's a
I
great.
don't know anything that I'm talking
He's a great forward.
Isn't that a position?
No, it's not in the cross.
Attack.
Attack.
He's a good
He's a
player.
good forward.
No, but I think the referral programs, unless you're in a bind where you need somebody immediately, those definitely have to look out for. But another area where you can really improve your recruitment is just, where do you post your job?
Yeah.
There are a lot of diverse job boards out there where you can post. There's one called Diversity Working. It's the largest diversity online job board that's available, so go check it out.
Whoa.
We don't even own stock in it.
Largest.
I don't own stock in it yet, but
But I do have a lot of Bitcoin in there.
a lot of Bitcoin in there, and indeed. So, but there you can look at veteran organizations. There's another job board called Recruit Disability. There are even senior job boards, and I'm not just talking about like the ad on The Bachelor when they're looking for like a senior bachelor.
Oh my gosh, are they doing that now?
Senior bachelor.
Wait, yeah.
Do you know someone over 65 who would like to be on The Bachelor?
Yes. My neighbor.
My neighbor.
No, I agree, Jeff. I think those diverse boards are really important.
Right.
That's great. I didn't even know those are resources.
Well, and even
That's
look-
actually awesome.
Right, look outside your state, or rural areas versus urban areas. There's a lot of things you can do to be creative, and there's a lot of platforms that you can use to get, your company out there, to get just cast a broader net, essentially.
Right.
I agree. I
There's
have a lot of
perspective.
clients that are saying, well, we don't have diversity. We want diversity. We want innovation. We want creativity, but we're only marketing to the local paper and the local community college or university. And so,
Right.
It's just easy to get sucked into that sameness. Like even if you look at a product line, and like if you sell boxes like we do, so you sell them, somebody that's working at a competitor, but they tend to be the same. But if you're selling something, the qualities needed for a good salesperson are not necessarily just from that product, just because they know that product. You've heard the old saying that somebody can sell ice to the Eskimos. It's just that's a situation where they can sell. It's like Patty's dad; he could sell anything.
I've
to
never
anybody.
heard that phrase, but okay.
No.
But I
Your
get what you're
dad
saying.
could sell anything.
Yeah, you're looking for the skill set, and so
Right,
you're not
yeah.
looking for the person, assuming that everyone has to be the same and act the same. Is that what you're saying? In
Yeah,
order
no,
to
exactly.
sell?
Or just
Okay.
it's like I said, if you know somebody that's in the same field, same line of business, it's easy to suck them in because you don't have to do a lot of the what you think to be the training. But the reality is, selling is selling is selling. If you can sell widgets, you can sell watches or golf clubs or boxes or whatever it is. Those are the skills.
Look further.
Look further.
Right.
It's further than people who are the fans of the same basketball team that you're fans of.
Exactly. Right.
They're
Yeah.
fans of the same forwards.
I think
Same
that-
forward.
I love forwards. I think it's good that we all like anyone who's a forward.
Right.
I want to talk about what I think to be the biggest problem with workplace homophily in hiring and recruiting, and that to me is the interview process. Would you guys
Okay.
agree, disagree with me on that? You've got to train anyone who's going to be an interviewer about unconscious bias. It's not intentional, but
No.
people, because we have this psychological state where we seek comfort and we like
Right.
people, that you've got to fight against that in a workplace interview, and you have to
Right.
use standardized questions that are going just to skills to pay the bills.
Right.
That's what we need to really look at. You're not making a friend.
No.
Right. Yeah.
No.
And I think that's the interesting thing about this is that homophily is such a natural, almost like primal thing that we've like learned through evolution. But because it's so natural, you do have to be extra cautious to make sure it's not coming into play in those environments where in normal social situations, it is always going to be in play.
Of course.
But in this one, it cannot.
I mean, you
Right.
look at
Well,
dating
it's-
apps. You look at, that's
Yeah.
all based
Right.
on homophily and
Right.
common interests. I mean,
In arenas where there isn't money or an employment involved.
And I think to your point, Jack, it's not something that's insidious. It's not evil. It's just part of us that we have
Well, but
to
actually-
recognize.
Right.
But don't you think, in a way, though, it could be insidious? Doesn't insidious mean that it's like sneaky bad?
yes.
Do you want me to get the
Everyone, a
definition?
lot of lip smacking.
Very sneaky bad.
No, but when I say
Yeah, 'cause
insidious,
it is kind of sneaky bad.
right? But what I'm saying is, no, I don't think necessarily it is, because if it's a psychological comfort aspect of it, and that's why I'm saying that it's not. Maybe insidious isn't the right word, but there doesn't have to be an evil intent. You just have to think about fighting against it, and that's what Patty's saying in terms of, if you're interviewing, let's take the emotion out of it. Let's get to
Right.
the point, and be focused
Yes.
and objective. Just so at the end of the day, what you really need to do, again, this goes to like creating objective processes, but following your EEO policy and your diversity policies and really walking that, really doing it, as opposed to saying, hey, these are hung on the wall.
What's EEO?
EEO, equal employment,
EIO.
What is that?
equal employment opportunity.
It's like anti-discrimination.
Yeah, anti-discrimination.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So make sure you're following that.
I hate it when companies make everyone sign it. They make a big deal. They put it on the wall, and then they don't do anything consistent with that.
They put it in a box somewhere.
Right.
Exactly.
No, it's the worst. The worst that can
I
happen.
keep all my old photos and my EEO contract, my little baby teeth.
Oh God.
Please.
Okay, weird thing to keep. Why does anyone keep baby teeth?
Nobody
Okay.
does, Jack. Do you?
No,
Uh-oh.
moving on. All right, so where when I was a child, I did. Okay,
He'd always leave a note saying, "Tooth Fairy, please leave my
leave
teeth,
my tooth.
Leave
but
the
please
tooth.
give me this little money."
Give me the money and I get the best of both. I get to keep my little bone.
We were
Some
mildly
movies.
concerned.
Yeah.
Also, I kept clamshells
Wait, who-
from local restaurants.
Why would you guys be concerned?
I don't know. Is he going to make a necklace?
Clamshell
gonna
and
kill
teeth neck.
Okay, so where is the next area that you see homophily in the workplace? Where else is it?
Just imagine. I imagine Jack coming in with like a handmade doll.
with my teeth in the mouth.
The handmade doll.
It's smiling.
You wonder why we were concerned, Jeff? I mean, come on. You have a child.
He's eating clams.
Okay. Rob, where do you see the next area?
You guys are like,
Homophily.
where's the cat?
Where are the cat's teeth?
Why does his cat have no teeth?
Rob, help me. Help me out of here.
It's a really horrible origin story for the elf in Rudolph Wants to Be a Dentist.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so what is another major area that you see homophily in the workplace?
So I would say workplace cliques. Not anything different than you saw in junior high school or high school. I'm not talking about discrimination. I'm just
Right.
talking about cliques.
Right. And I'm not blameless in cliques. I think I had a pretty bad clique. I started the Quidditch team, and I did make it really hard for people to get on the Quidditch team.
Yeah,
And I think that was unfair.
But you were a founder.
real-
You were a founder.
Yeah,
a founder, but you had
I
some-
did so I have found something in my life. Founded.
check.
Isn't it a college sport, Jeff? Now?
Yeah,
Quidditch?
no, as much as everyone gave you a hard time for bringing a bunch of hula hoops taped to some PVC pipe,
That dad actually
Craft.
really completely helped me.
I was all in.
He was drilling
all
holes
in.
in the PVC pipe,
it's now legit. So
helping me cover the ball with duct tape so it looked like a real bludger.
Right, and just
You know when
sticky.
Stanford's doing it, it's legit now.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Ahead of your time.
But
But even then, it was still a clique, and that's not cool.
well, I will say this to come to the defense of cliques. There's a difference
God.
because I think when we talk about homophily, you are naturally attracted to people who are like you, and so that's how a lot of friendships are just naturally formed. And so when you go to the office, a lot of relationships that you form with your coworkers are because there's something in common. There's some
Right, yeah.
similarity. My God, there's some similarity with
But you
them.
can't
However, right. However, it's when it becomes like us versus them, and to the exclusion of the others, or gossiping about others who aren't
Right.
part of your group, where it's really that junior high. Going back to
Yeah.
the nasty part of
Turns-
junior high that we all want to forget, right?
Right.
Right.
Please forget.
Almost
Please
half
forget.
of employees
Please forget.
say they have cliques at their office.
Yeah.
They're differentiating that, as Jeff said, from friendships versus cliques, and they don't like it when
Right.
it interferes with their job enjoyment, when they're excluded, when they miss out on equal opportunities.
Right.
Because
Right.
they're not part of that clique. That's when it presents as a significant problem, and that's when homophily is not a good thing in the workplace.
Absolutely.
No.
No.
Yeah, it takes that turn. Friend group to clique
Right.
can really just be bad, especially at work. So that's pretty clear that just is kind of damaging for people being satisfied at their job, or probably staying at their job, even
Right.
if they feel like it's a really cliquey environment. That's why I work alone.
You can't find friends like
so-
you.
I look in
There's
the
a
mirror
difference.
and say, it's just you and me. So what do you suggest to combat cliques?
Yeah. So I
Due to homophily.
Yeah, I would say that you're looking at these groups. So what do you want to do? You want to bridge the gap between these folks.
Right.
One thing I think about is how do you cross-educate? In other words, so whether it's a mentorship or you just look across your company and say, okay, so Jeff is in production, Jack is in advertising. Let's put those guys together, have them spend some time together, talk about what they do, and that'll allow some cross-pollination of thought. And I think that's one way to do it. The
And
other
Rob,
one-
I want to say on that is I think that's also important because then they appreciate what the other person
Right.
does, what their
Right.
role is.
Yeah, how they know things that they would never
Right.
know based off of
I
their-
think even in our setting in manufacturing, it would be great to spend a significant amount of time in one of our facilities so that as somebody who's more in administrative processes knows exactly what our people on the front lines are doing every day.
Yeah, like I used to feel really like, and it's pretty negative. I would be like, not super considerate about responding to certain emails or certain texts from, let's say, some production coordinator. And then all of a sudden, I'm friends with the production coordinator, and I'm seeing when people don't respond to them, what it does to their job and what their job requires versus just my job.
Right.
It just, I would never have had that perspective if I hadn't been able to communicate with them about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Or,
and a lot
or
of
learn about it.
yeah, and a lot of the workplace cliques that I've seen are exactly that. They're departmental, or they're
Right.
nurses versus doctors, or admin staff versus lawyers. It's
Right.
like they're
Service versus
and
sales.
right, and
Yeah.
they're frustrated. They can get some common ground on being frustrated with the way things are handled by the other group.
Right.
And it becomes really
Right,
really
so-
toxic.
So one of the
Right.
things that another, aside from just putting people together, another opportunity is a mentoring program. And again,
Oh, yeah.
not necessarily mentoring just on, what you do. So putting the lawyers with the lawyers, but mentoring in just how you interact in a business relationship, how
Right.
you, again, kind of these same sort of things about, but taking somebody who's been around for a while and bringing a new person in and allowing them to interact in a mentoring sort of fashion, I think is a good program.
Absolutely.
That's a good idea.
I mean, the other
Love
thing you
them.
have to do.
Yeah, that was one of many so far.
Put it
You
on
got
a
5
t-shirt,
minutes. What
sell
else
it.
you got?
The other thing you gotta do is you do have to try and break up the cliques with
Yes,
when
Clickbuster.
Right, it's like playing
Yeah, it's like
whack-a-mole.
Mythbusters.
Just
Yeah.
just try and break up those groups, really, and you can do that by group activities, forcing people to interact with each other, and as
Yeah.
Rob was saying, it's have them see the other side, right? What
Right.
goes on behind the curtain.
Jeff,
or just-
when you and I do trainings, management trainings, everyone comes into the room and they sit in their cliques. And I'm not saying
Right.
they're bad clique, they're friends. But then when you reassign them and say, hey,
Yeah.
okay, you're all sitting there, or you have assigned seating before they come in, they may not like it initially, but then I notice they're sharing all kinds of diverse ideas rather than just the
Right.
same group think with
Right.
their friends. And so I really
Right.
think you have to force it as a manager to reassign seating even. It sounds like a school teacher.
Well, that's probably why they get mad. They're like, I'm not in school anymore, but then they're acting like they are.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
why are you acting
Well,
like
you need to. So
Right,
So-
right.
But any of projects like team building, even fun social things, you can assign different people to
Right.
to handle the organization of Secret Santa or the team, the baking competition.
right, Secret Santa is great unless Rob Ball draws your name, and then you're in for a real world of hurt.
It's
and-
no secret who your Santa isn't.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just hurt feelings when you're just getting something that they grabbed at a 7-Eleven. You
I-
know, It's like-
I just wonder why my Secret Santa doesn't like me.
That's what
Yeah.
isn't that what someone
did I
said?
do?
My Secret Santa doesn't like.
Doesn't like.
I think the other thing is that I know this sounds maybe a little more direct and uncomfortable for managers, but you actually should be talking to the people who are excluding others and say, I get it. You don't have to be friends with everyone.
Right.
Take that,
No.
Right.
take that off the workplace. What'd you learn in kindergarten? If you're going to invite someone to the party at work, don't bring the invitations to work. And wait, that's not what you learn in kindergarten. What you learn in kindergarten,
You're a kindergartner who is employed in a full-time job.
if you're not inviting everyone at work to the party, don't bring the invitations to work. You know what I mean? Don't hurt
Yeah.
feelings.
Right,
Do things
right.
off work. But if you sit around and you're excluding people and not inviting them to lunch and purposely not including the conversation, that's not building a team. And I think it's fair to have that conversation because a lot of people aren't self-aware that they are excluding people. They're just
Right.
socially comfortable. So that's one thing I would
Yep.
keep in mind.
The other thing
yeah.
to your point, Patty, I mean, it may turn into a situation where you have to, think about your respectful workplace policy and maybe have to deal with cliques in that format. You don't want to, but it's there and it should be used if necessary.
Right, if they're
Absolutely.
gossiping
So if it goes
negatively.
too far.
Yes, negative gossip, bullying, things like that.
Disrespectful stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing I would say too is that don't lose your own diversity. In other words, make sure that, like, even in these mentorships or trying to create these team building exercises where you're actually bringing some ideas to it. So don't
Right.
feel like you
you
leave
don't have
that
to
at the door.
change.
Yeah, just keep on.
Right.
Right. Keep on what?
Keep on keeping
flocking
on, Jeff.
keep on and on and
No,
on.
but it is funny. I see people.
But stand by your own ideas.
Yes, I
exactly.
see people that they have ideas and then they get in the meeting and they just succumb to group think. Like,
No, it's
don't.
it's the classic going back to middle school when the teacher asks a question and everyone raises their hand and it's wrong. They're like wrong, but everyone's like, you're sitting there like, I I guess maybe I'm wrong. And you raise your hand.
Yeah.
Right? And then the teacher's like, you're all wrong. You're like, okay.
Dang.
Never raising my hand again.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm done with that.
Ask.
Scarred forever. Will never participate in
Thank you,
anything.
Mr.
Except
Salvatore.
Except for
And
Quidditch
collecting
and
teeth.
my own and collecting my own teeth.
And the cats. Sorry, Jack.
Sorry,
in jail.
Sammy.
Okay, so
Yeah, and I think that at the end of the day, you want to attract different ideas, because that's where you're going to find the best ideas. It's not looking at the same thing the same way as everybody else in the
Right.
room. You want to bring people in, and so you have to fight against the idea
Right.
that this person's kind of like me, so I want to be with them and make business
Right.
decisions. It goes back to what Patty was saying. Turn the people around in their desks, make them talk to one another. That's where you're going to get good ideas and good solutions.
Rob, thank you so much for coming and talking about homophily
Yeah.
and recruiting and workplace cliques. And we really appreciate your time putting up with us. And
Yeah.
It's been a
Thank you.
great deal of fun. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys at dinner.
okay.
No, we really appreciate it. And we do have a couple announcements. Tomorrow, Patty and I are putting on a webinar. It's an HR seminar about what is a reasonable accommodation under the ADA. So come join us for that. You can register on managementnorthwest.com. It's an hour and a half. It's going to be...
Yeah, we have a big group. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great.
and if you listen to the podcast, we're very thankful for that. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe at the end of the day. How cool is that?
Okay, great.
All
we
right.
hope you guys have a mayhem-free week. We'll see you next week.
Managing Mayhem is presented by Management Northwest and Management Southwest and cannot be copied or rebroadcast without prior written consent. By listening to this podcast, you understand that we, or at least two of us, are lawyers, but we are not your lawyers. Therefore, nothing we say on the podcast should be taken as legal advice or considered to create an attorney-client relationship. It is solely meant for your educational and informational purposes. The podcast should not be used as a substitute for legal advice from an attorney licensed in your state. Please be aware that listening to lawyers can cause side effects such as migraine, self-doubt, and also may cure insomnia. But you know what? Trust your own judgment or you're not your mom.